And we're
We
live.
are. Hi,
Oh,
everybody. Wow, I haven't been here in a long time.
I know, 2 weeks. I know, it's crazy. We missed you. We missed.
That
If
was
for those who tuned into the like spur of the moment solo, they're probably incredibly grateful. Like, don't ever
haven't
do
even
that
talked.
again. Karen's back. Woo! Because Lenny's boring when
I
he's
know.
by himself. So the
No, I'm sure it was great. Full disclosure, I didn't catch that episode or one last week with Susan, although I know they existed. I have been catching up all week. I was out for a long time. So,
sure.
and it shows in my brain activity this week also. There are things where I'm like, remind me about this because I really unplugged quite beautifully.
And good. And for the audience, Karen was just showing me her a picture of her from her vacation. We're not going to do that because it's going to make everybody jealous. So
Really.
it looks like you did have a great time in a
Ooh.
wonderful location, and we're glad that you're back now. Uh,
Yeah.
back to the grind after.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll be smiling about my vacation for weeks to come, probably, because it was extraordinary. And full disclosure, I was away with all of my children, including my oldest son with his wife and their baby. So, and I met my daughter-in-law's entire family really for the first time. So it was like this extraordinary adventure for me.
Yeah. Well, do you want to say where? Just give it context.
I was in Brazil. Yes. So, and so it involved not only being kind of in the city of Sao Paulo, but getting off to the beach because, this is me we're talking about.
Beach
So
time. Yeah.
there's really no vacation that doesn't include some sort of beach activity.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah.
and now you're back jumping into the deep end of the pool because my goodness, it seems to me, I mean, you may be unplugged, but
Yeah.
like the last 3 weeks of just boom, 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 boom. I mean, lots of stuff happening, lots of the series we've talked about. We condense this down. I know we throw a lot at you, but there's twice as much. Normally we leave on the cutting room floor. This week, probably 3 times as much.
Yeah.
There's so much. So you tell me, are you like ready to talk about these things? Or you're like, Lenny, I'm just still catching up.
No, I am. So what's interesting is, today my brain has pretty much caught up with things, and actually, it's a really good. You talk about vacations being good to kind of mentally refresh with your work, but at the rate of change in the industry and in just the tech world specifically, it was really good to take a mental break from all of that also. And to kind of come back. And so it feels, actually, everything feels really interesting to me right now because I'm like, because I allowed my brain to step back for a little bit. So I, highly recommend to folks who are, we love loyal listeners. we really love that. And there's also something about give yourself a break if it feels overwhelming, because then you can come back to it and, have just a different perspective on it. So, and I think we should get right into it because my big perspective right now, which is some of our lead articles, are about the synthetic data, which kind of bubbled up this week. And I don't know that I would have been able to wrangle it quite as well as I can right now, having not thought about synthetic data for, 2 weeks.
Good. Then
So
let's go.
Yeah, let's go. So Qualtrics and PureSpectrum have partnered to deliver synthetic research capabilities. And what I thought was really interesting about this is, PureSpectrum selected Qualtrics as its synthetic panel provider. So there's this kind of quid pro quo happening, but it's basically talking about how Qualtrics synthetic model, this is all in the press release, how their synthetic model is built upon their repository of very industry-specific experience data. Mm-hmm. So Qualtrics, kind of then working with PureSpectrum, for their kind of trading data and that partnership. I just think it's really interesting that not only have they totally bought in to what we need to do, but they're leveraging their 2 strong suits to come together to do something great for mutual clients. I just think it's a really interesting partnership. What did you think?
I agree, and I've been sorry, I feel kind of weird saying things like this. I've been waiting to see something like this, right? This integration between a platform like Qualtrics. leveraging their data assets on behalf of their customers with augmentation externally,
Yeah.
and that's going to change the research process, obviously, right?
Right.
We no surprise, synthetic first, exploratory, et cetera, et cetera. Then you go ask questions, using Qualtrics and probably sampling when it's not CX related off of PureSpectrum.
And here's what took me a hot second though, is when I read in there, PureSpectrum selected Qualtrics as its exclusive synthetic panel provider, my brain did a little like, wait, panel provider? Like categorizing Qualtrics as a panel provider. I got tripped up, right? I was like,
well, they had talked about doing panel. Remember that they were going to put, I do not know, maybe they did, and maybe they were working with PureSpectrum on that piece where they were going to panelize, folks. I do not know, and they didn't talk about it, but it's always made sense, right?
yes,
To me, for Qualtrics to have that type of capability. It had been rumored for years of, that maybe they were going to buy so-and-so or whatever. This seems like they've accomplished the goal of that synthesis and integration without the need to actually do an acquisition at this point. So it's all about the data.
and this idea of synthetic panel suddenly, again, this is sort of what I feel like the 2 weeks distance really did for me was, of course, synthetic panel is only going to be as good as what it's built on. Mm-hmm. And yes, there are going to be some companies that are going to have a better synthetic data panel.
Right.
Others. Yeah. And so if you're wanting to shop for synthetic panel, you're going to be thinking, anyway, it just was one of those kind of moments where, and then, let's talk about what Ipsos is doing, because it's two big players making moves.
Yeah, Ipsos to Stanford, they've talked about this. There's a Stanford paper on synthetic not too long ago. We're effectively the same thing. And I think it's as we need a new term than synthetic. It's a broad bucket category, but what Qualtrics is, and PureSpectrum and what Ipsos is doing, it is not, let's create a persona off of ChatGPT. That is not the case. These are built off of first-party data, structured data sets, specific, deep profiling of consumers, attitudinal, behavioral. The Ipsos panel, I don't think they called this out specifically, but I suspect that it's off of the, I always forget the name of it. It was the GFK asset that they bought. That is an incredibly high-quality panel based off of consumption. So these are high quality digital personas built, basically digital twins, and that's what Ipsos called theirs. It's not the same thing as some of the other stuff that's out there that's just pulling off of the internet. I'm not denigrating, that has its use cases. I would argue that this is far more predictive, far more accurate, higher quality, because it's based off of real people.
Yeah, and I think the Ipsos move, again, this is when I'm super reflective today, friends, so forgive me for wanting to indulge these conversations a little more. The idea that Ipsos is choosing to partner with academia,
yes,
right? I think that is worth taking a moment for, because they're bringing in different brains, different level of thinking to how they're going about this very mindful approach to this, because I feel like for Ipsos, so much of what they're doing is public opinion research. They 100% need to do it right? Like the stakes are high for them, so they need to bring in this type of thinking. It's kind of where I netted out with this story. So
well, we should point to both these depend on, this is not a snapshot in time. These are ongoing data feeds. So to your point on public opinion, do I think that can become highly predictive? I do, as long as it is based on real time or close to real time current data as things change. And that's what they're building. And I'm going to hypothesis for Ipsos at this point, really effectively the last company standing from the big full service global companies, right? I mean, Kantar and Nielsen, everybody else have done some other stuff. For them to do this is very indicative of their view on where the industry is going, which probably looks a whole lot more like a subscription business with digital, the synthetic sample first,
Hmm.
and then augmenting with real, follow-on research, which is
Yeah.
probably going to look a lot more qualitative and in depth.
Yeah.
I'm just guessing. I'm trying to get Ben Page to actually do an interview, and maybe we can validate this. But pay attention, right? When a company like Ipsos, multi-billion-dollar global company, are making these moves, that is very indicative of where the market is going.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, for real. And, we've been saying for a long time, qualitative validation of synthetic data sets. I don't know if that's the right term, but, data that is informed using synthetic panel, for example, like that's going to become very important. So qualitative researchers out there listening, sorry about that.
sorry.
I'm telling you, it's been Grand Central. So how would my son know I'm recording live right now if he were to pay any attention to my schedule? Anyway, qualitative researchers should really be thinking about that. What does that qual look like when you're validating something else? Like, and really focus on your ability to make sure that, because qualitative research is often so expansive, and we go wide so that you can kind of connect dots and threads, but validation is a different need that clients will have. So what are the qualitative skills and capabilities you need to be able to validate what they're seeing or invalidate what they're seeing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, is this just more data? I don't need more data. I wanted something else. So
100%. All the companies that are doing all the qualitative platforms that are, whether it's community or online groups or whatever, they are all going that direction to have those data assets, the transcript effectively, and feeding that into personas. They're all working on it. I've even got the point. I don't know about you, if you experiment with this, like read AI on meetings.
Yeah.
I will incorporate the transcript often if I need to do a follow-up, and have AI create a persona of so fed off of that for my follow-up, maybe. So, that it's
maybe. So what I'm saying is there's a persona in your system that's based on me. That's fine.
Not yet. You're complicated. I can't put you down.
Actually, I'm really quite simple, but anyway, we don't need to go down that
right. Be nice. That's anyway. Let's go into inside joke, kind of not joke. Things get interesting around here, don't they? Sometimes
we're live, friends.
We are. All right. So let's go through these other.
I kind of do those sort of things in purpose, just because I like to see.
I know.
I like to see turn a little red.
I know.
Yeah. Let's talk about this next one, because you mentioned, I'm going to bring you back. Don't worry. These next two kind of funding related stories.
Yep.
I want to get them out there, but I really am anxious to move into some of the new product launches, because
there's a bunch.
You talked about the need to be predictive with the research that we're doing, and some of this synthetic data. We're trying to figure out if it can be predictive. So I want to cover these two funding things, but let's get back to the importance of predictive tools, which is what I see in some of this. So I don't know enough about Harmonia to talk too extensively about their investment from W23 Global, but on retail and CPG insights.
Yeah, I read the press release too.
And it's vague, right? It doesn't really say how much of an investment. It's there's something buttoned up about it, but AI powered retail and CPG insights. Spoiler alert. Doesn't Walmart also? We know what they're doing. We know that this is what's happening, right? Is these retail insights and the data, this first party data that is coming out of those, is important in the future.
Yeah, follow the money. And the same thing, Metaforms, I thought was interesting. Well, it was a little more clear. Similar to Nichefire and or sorry, not Nichefire, Knit. Building more of an agentic automation platform. So we've been talking about that. We're talking about for weeks. And now we're seeing the emergence of funded platforms, right, raising a lot of money to
Yeah.
create these agentic operating systems, basically,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
within tailor-made for insights. So
Yeah.
we're going to see a lot more of that. I actually think it's interesting that we are seeing those specific kind of vertically aligned businesses, because same thing's going to happen in procurement or whatever, healthcare. We'll see very specific ones. Excuse me. Where do they fit into broader solutions? But pay attention. This is the beginning of developing ecosystems of
Yeah.
agents that are
Yeah.
performing different functions, and we're seeing that play out.
Yeah, and jump ahead. We have a couple of different things that are agent related, but Rival Technology, they are. I'm just going to jump to that bullet, Carly, just so
Yep.
you know. They rolled out a suite of enhancements, including new unstructured data agent, AI Smart Pro, pixel tracking, WhatsApp survey distribution. But it is all about this kind of agentic work. I also happen to know they're coming to IIX AI, talking, kind of demoing some of their agent technology in there. So they are really ahead of the curve in talking about what they're doing from an agentic standpoint.
They are. So full disclosure, they're a client on the Gen 2 side. So I do have some insight into this. But I would just say what's interesting, everything you said, but there's also another piece of this is, in this race that we're seeing of like literally every week a new thing.
Yeah.
That in the tech world, they call that shipping, right? Shipping product.
Yep.
I mean, Rival, Pure Profile, there's a couple that they're shipping product. They're just not sitting, right? They are literally every couple of weeks a whole new suite of solutions, which speaks to the pace of development is shorter.
Yeah.
You can do that. I mean, these guys, they it's not like they've expanded to have 100 developers or anything.
Right.
It's still got the core. They're just knocking stuff out really fast because they can, and that is competitive advantage.
Yeah.
So check out Rival. It's really cool. They're doing some like this stuff, the Pinterest pixel tracking. That's cool. Again, and not trying to say how awesome Rival is, although they are. Andrew, I love you. It's just they're, because the barrier to entry, the lift is lower to experiment and try new things. Because of the development of AI, it gives them a chance to like, hey, that would be cool. Let's try that. And expanding use cases and features and capabilities, rather than being stuck on this very specific product roadmap. Companies can be very agile. Rival is an example right now of a company that is being very agile on the development side. And
I mean, obviously, one of the reasons why we talk about it, or talk about them, or talk about this type of behavior is, look, we are predisposed to like insight innovation, right? It's sort of part of how IIX got founded in the beginning, right? So we like this. We get excited by people who are, have this mindset, this innovative mindset where they're going to try new things, and not all of them will be successful, but some of them will. And they've got to just keep churning stuff out to see what sticks and what lands.
Right.
And
because that's the differentiator right now.
That's a differentiator.
Yeah. I mean,
they're also competing against startups, right? So there are so many startups. Like this was a time also in the last week, and we can share some of these. I'm like, I don't even know. It's hard to even talk about all the startups in the research space because there are a lot of them. And these are not necessarily people who have a background in research. These are people who they have a background in the tech, and they're like, hey, we can do this with today's technology. And they're coming out, hitting the ground running. And that's who companies that have been out there a while are competing against as well. So anyway.
Yeah, and there's so many. Well, let's for a bit. There's a bunch of other. We jumped to Rival because of the agentic component. There are a bunch of other product releases. Let's run through those really quickly, and they're all again examples of people shipping products, innovating. Excuse me. Going through that quickly. So AI bots, very accurate descriptive name. Screen optimization tools to decide which ideas merit human testing. So that's really cool. Ideation platform, synthetic. So, that's
Yeah.
Duh.
Quick screening, let's rule some ideas out before you go forward and do some more testing. I think I'm like, all right, cool concept, right?
Yep, absolutely. The perspective AI. So they didn't describe this as agentic, but I would say that it probably is my
Sounds
guess.
agentic. This was, spotted on Product Hunt. They an AI research platform that both plans, studies, conducts, and delivers insights. So it's kind of in minutes.
Right. And
Whenever it says in minutes, that leads you to believe there's not necessarily a human slowing that process down. So
right.
we'd have to learn a little bit more about perspective AI, but it's a great example of a debut product.
Yep.
And then this next one, Artificial Societies launching AS, a platform using 500,000 AI personas to simulate societies and predict audience reactions.
Yeah.
That also is interesting to me because I'm like, okay, there's a lot going on in our ecosystem right now for you to track, for you to take a look at. This is just a few of the things that, Lenny and I might spot during the course of a week, but it goes back to this predicting this. It's not the predicting need has always been there, but now we're getting closer with technology to do more prediction. And I think that it's a really exciting time to think about what that means for companies.
Yeah. I thought the artificial side was really cool. Ray Porter called that out as well. Right. That's almost years ago, there was this idea of agent-based modeling. That was used to try and mimic and predict like call center volume and things like that, right? So not agents where we use it now. And this is like taking on steroids, but with synthetic sample, and you're exploring the scenario planning for at a macro level. Very cool stuff. Very cool stuff.
Yeah, and hopefully at using a fraction of your budget, your research spend to do this first.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And saving the money for what you really need. So if with this first one with the AI bots, if you're screening ideas first, you don't have to test as many, right? So hopefully then you can get more bang for your buck down the road because you've done some preliminary work with AI. So the possibilities I think are really exciting when you think about all your use cases for these new tools.
Yeah. Did we include the link to my day in the life post in here? I don't think we did. Carly, no. if you could grab that off of the blog.
Grab it. And not by design for any particular reason. No, I actually really like it. It's on my editor's note. I think it's cool.
I only mentioned it to kind of wrap that up. This idea, right? That was the point. I wrote a blog with AI to kind of, what does this world look like a few months from now? Maybe not a few years, literally a few months, where things like the perspective AI, and as you were saying, that there's just a different workflow, and we're using different tools and also traditional tools. And what does that look like? So it's an imagination piece, but I think it's grounded on some pretty good stuff. Maybe it'll just get you thinking. So
yeah. I'm just going to help Carly for 30 seconds and say, here's that.
She got off of the LinkedIn, so that's fine.
Done. Good. Okay.
All right, let's call out. We always get the name wrong. Is it? I think it's David. I'm sorry, guys, if it's wrong. Call us, email us. Say no. It's AI did.
Very Schitt's Creek like for me. Every time I think about it, Alex. I don't know if you even know what I'm talking about, but fans of Schitt's Creek will understand that there's a whole thing about David and the way it's pronounced. So every time we trip up on a word that's like that, I'm like, oh, it's so Schitt's Creek. But anyway, these three, there's kind of another kind of three boom, boom, boom. This David and Video Researching launching Emolizer, AI-powered creative testing tool in the Japanese market. So again, AI-powered creative testing, Amplified introduced creative testing AI, also trying to get at that kind of quick creative recommendations. And then Innovate MR upgraded its text analyzer. It's related to this kind of creative in my brain to detect AI generated content and deeper contextual analysis. When it comes to creative or content or responses, text analysis, it's like on steroids right now.
Yep.
And so I don't know, it's just to me, that's what struck me is, we're not just talking about earlier stage screening of ideas, which creative ideas, but we're also talking about kind of this whole idea that this is a skill set that AI has, and
Mhm.
we should. It makes so much sense to leverage things like that in this way.
Well, think of it as a qualitative uh, guru, right? I mean, think about these tools. How much time would this have saved, 5 years ago,
Every
right?
time I think about it, every time I think about focus groups where we're testing, we're testing claims, or we're testing ad copy. It's like, what do you think about this paragraph or this paragraph? Or here's 5 concepts, and we're the whole idea of not having to do that work for people. Like, what do you think about this tagline? Like, here's a magazine, which we don't really do that much of it anymore, but here's this ad copy line or this ad copy line. Like, we're A/B testing in a focus group setting, because we're desperate to try to figure out which one's better,
Yep.
because our own gut checks aren't the right ones when it comes to quantity and all. Anyway, all
Yeah.
of that stuff, like the idea that we can also then kind of analyze the text on the other side of it. It's
Yeah.
exponential savings. Don't resist. Lean in.
Before we jump into the big tech developments real quick, I want to actually frame that up because it's something I was in the conversation yesterday, and they were talking about adoption.
Yeah.
And the and what occurred to me was that we're used to kind of one adoption curve, right? That's not the world that we are in. There's
Yeah.
like multiple lines now.
Yeah.
And there's still and I think it's around use case,
Yeah.
right? So we're probably 30-40% now on AI for process use cases from an
Yeah.
adoption standpoint. But that ship is sailed.
Yeah.
But then off of that, there's a whole other line now that is on revolutionizing not just process but function, right?
Yeah.
And that's one. And then there's this whole other one where like you're unlocking stuff, which we're going to get to now into the tech developments of like, holy crap, you could do that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like science fiction.
Yeah.
And that's the bleeding edge of things, but they're all running in parallel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is just, I don't know. Well, hopefully you can imagine what I'm talking about. Of like, imagine 3 line graphs, right, that are just kind of all stacked.
Yeah.
And that's the world that we are in. It's not just one. So
Yeah. And there's no escaping this. There's no escaping the tech developments. So
no, so let's go, because there were a bunch.
Because it's like we're 27 minutes in here. We knew this would have happened, right?
Yes.
So yesterday, OpenAI announced GPT-5, and then everybody who's like kind of a, Tim and I talk all the time about being like kind of power users of OpenAI's product, ChatGPT. We're anxiously awaiting our upgrade, and then to get in and see what it does for you. And at first, I was like, okay, I'm upgraded, and now I'm not really seeing it, right? But the second you go into it and you recognize that it's choosing the model, and it's doing things that show its advanced reasoning and critical thinking, even in a basic ask. This morning, I was looking to try to come up with. I saw a prompt on LinkedIn, and I went in there to try to ask it for a value prop for a product of ours, and what it gave me was so freaking good, and it like took my breath away, because it did all of this critical thinking without asking me, without coming back and saying, would you like me to look at it this way? Would you like me to, and I know that you've done some of that stuff too, but really good stuff. And then another thing that happened when in a different use case, I have a custom GPT, and it said to me, in the thread, it said, I'll update my instructions now. And it was like, thank you. Because I didn't have to then go in and update the instructions. It said, her next step is going to be to update my instructions. Therefore, I'm just going to do that without asking her. Mm-hmm. And that's very cool. So like, when you start to level up in the GPTs, if you are a power user, you will start to see it. And if you haven't, that's just one tool, because I think right on the heels of it is all of these other developments. So let's rifle through all this, let's rifle through, go.
Did we pull out the other piece on OpenAI though? I don't know if we called that out specifically. Just to, and it's fine if we didn't have the link. It's not just through this GPT-5. There was also this open source solution that they
Yes.
released this week. That like, edge for edge computing, like on your phone. So imagine while they're, I got 2 lines, right? I mean, they're progressing forward with the, GPT-5. They're also, I assume it's like GPT-4 that is now they're open sourcing and saying, now go play with it, go do all types of stuff, right?
Yeah.
That on your phone. So they continue to
It'll
push
be,
the boundaries across the board.
they're all, and we'll talk about these wars, right? We have these,
Yes.
we are seeing wartime plans being executed because it's sort of out of control. But yeah, what's happening is, of course, they're going to be building AI interfaces into every phone, every product, everything. And it's just a matter of who's partnering with whom. So I'm glad I'm not in those boardrooms, because that would be really stressful, because they also have to take a risk in saying, this is going to be the right platform for our product. There are prediction exponential new product launches, whether it's your laptops or your refrigerators or your whatevers, that are going to be building in AI interfaces.
Right.
I have to tell you, when I was in Brazil, I had to do laundry, and the washer dryer was a 2-in-1, and it was all in Portuguese. And these are not words that Duolingo can help me with, that's for sure. Right. So crap, I have to do laundry. I have no idea how to operate this machine. I'm at an Airbnb. I took a picture of the panel and said, ChatGPT, and like, help me do my laundry. And it walked me through step by step exactly what to do.
Yeah.
And I was like, thank the good Lord this product exists.
Yeah.
Just a matter of time before the interface is right on the washer dryer, right? Where it says, what do you need to do? And I type in, I need this blah, blah, blah. I need this load of laundry done by tomorrow at 2. It'll say, gotcha. It's just going to happen.
Well, next it'll just be the robots, right? Because that's next.
I don't think we're going to need robots. I think our machines are going to be so smart.
You think they're just going to do it themselves?
I do. And I think I pulled it out because I was like, we don't have time to talk about it. But sorry, Carly. There was this link to it was the video with there's a man in a wheelchair whose micro movements are telling are doing the direction, micro movements leading the way. And I was like, that's way down a tech trail. We don't need to talk about it. But I don't even know that we'll need robots. I think that we're going to have technology where we'll be able to do everything with micro movements. We'll be able to talk to our machines ourselves. We will be the robots.
Maybe I saw another one just on there. Guys, I forget them. We'll put it out. I'll post on my LinkedIn or something. But like, yeah, it's like an earbud that it's a control system for micro movements. There was another one that I saw with a guy had put it. It's like almost like a retainer, that you put in your mouth, and it's just through tongue movements, and you're controlling everything through the freaking tongue movements.
Yeah. Now, and I mean, oh my gosh, who was the physicist that had ALS and was doing that?
Hawkins.
Thank you. Like, we know that technology has existed. Do you know how much better that will be? Like, the technology, the lifestyle improvements, but also what this means for what our life is like. Okay. Anyway, let's rifle through some of these.
Let's go on. Well, Carly, go and put the OpenAI, the TechCrunch article on OpenAI to close that out, because it's an exploration of the capability. So it's a little deeper. Why do we talk about agents? Perplexity launched Comment, Microsoft Edge, and the idea of how it impacts how we make decisions and shop. Like a couple weeks ago, I had to buy a new pool robot. I used Perplexity, compare, contrast, and here's what I'm looking for. It did it all for me, and clicked the button, and I bought it. And I mean, what would have taken hours of research was done in just a couple minutes. So all of that, and here's the real sign of the times. Walmart is centralizing AI into super agents already helping 900,000 associates. So internally, so Walmart, the largest retailer in the world, is leaning into, and they love data. They really love data. Remember our friend the Scintilla, Walmart Data Ventures. They're all in on.
Yeah, and when you think about this, what this means with the associates, just picture it. So picture an associate who's being asked a question from a customer, and it's, do we have this in stock? And they've always been able to maybe check a stock pie, check to see what's in stock. But now they won't have to ask. They'll say no. And how sometimes they're like, if you're in retail, they'll say, no, we don't have it. Maybe the next question would be, does another store have it? Or, can it be shipped to my home? Like, there's always these questions. But I imagine the agent will just do all that. And the associate will have all the information they could possibly need without having to. It's going to be streamlined. Yeah.
Let's do the on other AI wars, and we'll just get through that really quickly. The Google released Gemini 2.5 DeepThink.
Yep.
So it's like a workhorse for developers.
Yeah.
So that's out there. Anthropic related or updated Claude Opus 4.1.
Yep.
Again, that's like a lot of developers use that. It's really good.
Yeah.
And then Google again, their DeepMind.
Yep.
Genie 3, it's a world model, interactive 3D environments, some text prompts. I mean, that's still it still can't do like an hour, right? It does a few minutes. But I mean, the examples are just insane.
Yeah. So just when it's like, all right, we have this, you know, I talk about like this GPT 5 update for OpenAI. That's going to keep happening with all the platforms. They are all going to keep getting better. And you know, you might have the one that you've leaned into or whatever, for whatever reason, but all of the platforms are going to keep getting better.
Absolutely.
They are all going, and they're
all just leapfrogging. Yep.
Right. It is just rolling right along. And you know, the as much as I love this incremental update, like I still need to have use cases where I'm using the other ones also. So now you have a whole new AI tech stack that you have to sort through and figure out what is my use case for everything.
Yep. And they get, and even the ones that, you know, they just get better and better. I can, like you were this morning, I continue, even if there has been an update on Grok 4 since Grok 4, but yet it does, which is my favorite right this minute. But it changes. It's better at doing some things today than it was a couple days ago. Yeah. So there's all this background. We think about updates, but there's also just this expansive capability, and it's true for all of them. Perplexity as well. Perplexity surprised the hell out of me this week. It did something. I was trying to do some segmentation in Persona. I didn't expect it to do it. I was just testing it, and it was better than I had seen on others. And it was Perplexity. I don't expect Perplexity to do those type of things, right? But yet it was.
Yeah, and let's take this a step back to, you know, kind of, okay, we talk high level about tech developments, but what does this mean for the insights and analytics industry, aside from our day-to-day use of them for our roles or our jobs or our personal life or whatever you use it for? There's also this concept at play of I use such and such research platform. I used to use such and such research platform, but now, you know, so say, you know, I currently use B, I used to use A, but now A has added this AI functionality that might be far superior than what I'm currently using. This is a great time to kind of sit back and reflect and say, is there a better option for me? Mm-hmm. Or are you truly like, I'm using the team that I'm comfortable with? No shame on that, right? But if you are looking for capabilities,
right,
you have to reassess what the capabilities are of different vendors, because those are stepping up. Yep. They're getting better and better also.
Well, we could go off on a whole thing on that, but you do bring up a point that I think is so. Carl, I don't know if we have a grit logo we can bring up. If not, that's fine. We're in the field with the new grit survey right now. I'm going to say something about that in a second. There we go. We're really trying to get a handle on where we are from that adoption standpoint. But there is and the drivers of selection. I believe that in this era of like, I don't know what to do, there's so much coming at me. Yeah. I think trust really is a major asset.
Yeah.
So if you, so we may be moving towards an executional model that is more agentic, but trust in the brand, trust in the team of a known entity, I think is going to be hugely important. And then the burden on the trusted resources, you also have to make sure that you're maintaining parity. So so it's a really interesting time. Real quick on the grit stuff. If you were trying to bribe people to take it, knock that shit off. It's not okay. It's never okay. We say it every year. And when we catch you, we actually remove the completes. So you're hurting everything. So please take the survey so we have the data, but don't turn it into some type of game, because it is self-defeating in every way, and you're just wasting effort. You're actually we will go through and we see you doing it, and we're going to remove the completes. That's what we do, right? Because you're pissing in the well, and we got to filter it out and get it out. So guys, don't take the survey, but stop the promotional stuff. You're not helping anybody.
Knock that shit off, friends.
Knock that shit off. Seriously. I came that was the second time I've come so close to dropping an F-bomb. So so you can know, stop.
Yeah.
But please take the survey, because we want to understand where people are in all these topics from an adoption standpoint. So
and also to everybody else who's kind of listening, and thinking, I never thought to do that. Don't do it. But also know that we're on it. We're not going to let people get away with that. And I think that's the real big takeaway is it's a shame, but like the team is on it. Nelson works really hard,
right.
And you will, if you do not know Nelson, if it's one thing we can say about Nelson, it is that he takes that seriously and works hard for the integrity of that that initiative.
And the way that works, we'll keep the complete for the survey as long as it's a real person. We just won't count the mentions in the Grit 50.
Yeah.
So when we know that you have been, it is all fine. Send it to your network. Please take the Grit 50, or, take the survey. It includes the Grit 50. Leave it at that.
Yeah.
Don't do anything else. Just put it out there.
And most people do.
Most people do, but there's a few, and I'm not describing bad motives. It just contaminates that. So, all right. One last thing, that there was a really interesting article about that Microsoft did about the future of work. It's also one of those kind of terrifying things as well. Truly. It's worth taking a look at.
Implications of generative AI.
Yeah.
Good for further reading.
What can be automated will be automated. And if there's a task that a person is doing today that doesn't require, a lot of critical thinking and intuition and all those things, it shouldn't be a surprise, guys. So take a look at that. This may be our longest one ever, but you were back from vacation. There was a lot to cover.
Definitely blame it on me for real.
No. I'm not blaming it on you, because I get going as well. But and guys, we may actually, it would be great if you comment and let us know, because things are just happening so fast. Again, we leave a lot on the floor. We really do.
Yeah.
And we want to try and keep this short. There's going to be times that if we just to try and cover what we think is important, it's going to go a little bit longer. Let us know if you're like, no, keep it to 30 minutes, damn it.
I know. What's better, 30 minutes of a more compact show, or we expand it to, 42 minutes and 35 seconds, who knows, to cover more. We could easily talk for an hour, but we don't want to do that. So you don't want to hear us for that long. So the exchange at greenbook.org is a great place for that feedback. We'll take it.
Yep.
We've been doing this about 2 years.
I know, that's crazy. We have an anniversary coming up. That's nuts.
What? What? We've been doing this almost 2 years.
I know.
It's so hard for me to even fathom that we show up week after week. It's really and we do this, and it's the highlight of our week. So it is, and it's growing, and we thank you for that. By the way, like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell if you're on YouTube. Share, encourage others.
Share.
Give us that feedback. Carly, thank you for sharing the email address. We will not just read your releases, we will also read your feedback in there. So we welcome it.
We appreciate it.
Bring it on.
Everybody, have a wonderful rest of your Friday and great weekend.
Absolutely. Happy Friday in summer. We're deep in August. If you're vacationing, glad you're back.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.